Welcome back to our 50-40-90 interview series from NBA Now and Then. In this episode, we pick up where we left off in our interview with Jordan Treske, author of Building the Bucks. Enjoy the second half of our conversation where Jordan must pick between stars from different eras.
Welcome to the NBA Draft Time Machine. We have some comparisons. You will get two NBA stars from different eras, and they're in the same draft class. For fun, if you are guaranteed that both players could have a decade-long career of equally good health, who would you pick? So our first episode from season 2, we compared Anthony Edwards to Dwayne Wade. Who would you go with?
Very familiar with Dwayne Wade. Like, as much as I was earliest Bucks memories or earliest basketball memories are watching the Bucks, Dwayne Wade was a star for the Marquette Golden Eagles.
That's right. Yeah.
This is a really tough one. I'm gonna go Edwards by like a slim margin. I think I remember when he was coming out and there was the talk of like him or LaMelo Ball and James Wiseman. And I just remember thinking like, this is how we kind of assess like college players and like top college players. It's like, it doesn't remotely like mirror how the NBA is translating. And when you get into like a pro development program and NBA coaches are overseeing like development and getting, just the game is just way more different than, college by a large margin.
Yeah.
I just remember thinking like, this guy is raw, but you just see the physical tools and you see just like, he's a gamer. He's just kind of like built in that like Kobe, Michael Jordan mold of like a prime shooting guard that I just like, I can't like look away from like how good he's become. And he's also like, I know it's supposed to be like decade long of career, but like see him do this at 23 is pretty remarkable.
Yeah, I agree. I love both players, but I would probably lean towards Ant-Man too. All right. Also in season 2, we compared Chris Paul to Jason Kidd. Who's your pick?
Oh, this is a really tough one. Because I really, as much as Chris Paul, controversial, I would say maybe.
Yeah, a little bit.
A little bit. I think Kidd, I would go Kidd. Just because there wasn't a lot of examples of like someone who was as good as he was. And kind of like 6'5", 6'6", like
the height matters.
Height matters, and like that's where like not to refer to my book or anything like that, but like reading about Oscar Robertson and kind of him being viewed as like this prototypical player that can do anything. Like we view baseball in like 5 tools. You can kind of do that with basketball, and Jason Kidd is like a one-man triple-double unto himself.
Yeah,
and played with a certain pace. Didn't have the shooting, but you could argue that like you don't necessarily need that when he does everything else superbly. So I would go Kidd.
Toward the end, he did turn into a pretty good spot-up shooter.
That is true.
So,
that is true.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough. Season 2, we compared 2 phenomenal big men. Impact winning for their franchises to the point of championship titles. I'm talking about Nikola Jokic or Tim Duncan. Who are you going with?
I loved Tim Duncan as like growing up. I liked that kind of. I remember I had this Tim Duncan poster where you can measure your height, and so I was growing up. I got to Tim Duncan's like elbow. I don't know what it was.
His elbow.
Yeah, it was like that was supposed to be like 6 foot or whatever.
Okay.
And he's someone that I would say historically, because he isn't like a center of attention that Kobe or players of his era, like we don't think of him the same way, but like just an amazing basketball player. I'm gonna go Jokic. I just don't like, what do you do with someone there's not a lot of historical precedent? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
he's just
triple doubles and
he's 7 foot, where like he can kind of create something that is so unique to any NBA system. And that I think for me, it's like, that's always going to translate no matter what era that we're looking at. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's hard to compare him to anybody because we've never seen anybody like him before. And you could say Arvydas Sabonis, but he was not putting up numbers like Jokic because nobody has, right?
Yeah, exactly.
All right, we're sticking with centers. Bam Adebayo or Alonzo Mourning?
I want to go Bam. And maybe it's Alonzo Mourning's a little bit before my time, so definitely recency bias is informing this. But I do think there's something about the way Bam can guard 1 through 5. He's a really good rim protector. He's certainly grown as a shooter and kind of, I remember when he was coming out, like his offense game at Kentucky is pretty kind of not stunted, I would say, but just very role player, like rim run, active on the glass, player role kind of thing. And then I think from like seeing how he's blossomed, seeing how he's played against Giannis, certainly.
Yeah.
He's given him some fits. And I think over time, he's really blossomed into something that, like, you know, we just talked about Jokic. It's hard to compare him. Like, he hits like the ceiling of it. Bam Adebayo, like if he's on a good team, he can get to maybe top 3 level. But I would certainly lean more towards Bam.
Yeah, Bam is a phenomenal player. He can do so much with the basketball. And I definitely recall those series against Miami where Milwaukee, they had some tough matches.
To say the least.
Jimmy Butler, and those were some good series. So this next episode we actually do Legends of the Game. So we typically do present and past players, but sometimes we just say, let's just go back. So we compared Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, your guy, to Bill Russell, who a lot of younger fans don't realize they never played at the same time. But if you were to have to pick one over the other, who would you pick?
It's hard. It's interesting because reading about Bill Russell and you mentioned a very key point of like he's going out the outdoor as Kareem's coming in. I think the Russell documentary on Netflix was really good at illustrating just how good he was. Of like, you don't need the ball. He's just so super athletic and just played to his heart's desire. That he kind of willed. He was a system that didn't need to show that he was a system. Yeah, I mean, it's I don't know, that doesn't quite make sense. It's sounded better in my head. Yeah,
I get it. The system, I get it. Yeah,
I would say Kareem because I think one, the block, which would have helped Bill Russell for sure. He was just so tall that I think we would probably understand how good of like a rim protector and just how like much of a giant he would have been if like that was counted. And that he talks about it at times where you kind of see clips of like he can kind of do like what Giannis is doing. Like he was a decent ball handler. Like he could have maybe in a modern lens, he could have been someone that drives up the court like Giannis. I don't know if it's as successful. Mm-hmm. He certainly wouldn't have the same strength, but like someone that kind of as good as Kareem was coming out of college, like he has the unbeatable shot. He has these, an amazing post game. He was a good shooter. He was a great rebounder. It does help like that he can be this incredible scorer that I would probably lean more towards him than Bill Russell, as much as that sounds sacrilegious.
Yeah, the sky hook and his defense, I think a lot of people don't recall how good he was as a rim protector. Okay, fair enough. How about this comparison? One guy's really hot right now. He plays for the 76ers. We compared John Wall to Tyrese Maxey, two quick, lightning fast NBA players. Who would you go with?
I'm going to go Maxey. I really like him. First of all, like I think he's just very, like you mentioned, like his speed is just maybe unparalleled in the league right now. Like that, De'Aaron Fox is like kind of the closest thing, but like he might not be the same level of speed threat that he was earlier in his career. But I think Tyrese Maxey just has like what John Wall kind of did so well as kind of like the distributor and lifting other guys. Tyrese Maxey can kind of be his own offense. And I don't know, like, I think there's just something about like John Wall he's really good. I think if, the old phrase of like, if you do his career 10 times, you probably get 10 different outcomes.
Yeah.
Tyrese Maxey, like, he might be able to do it in a way where, the Sixers are kind of transitioning right now into something else. And I think we're kind of starting to see just how much of a superstar he is.
Yeah, he's definitely blossoming, and it just seems like he keeps getting better every single year. So, yeah, he definitely has a bright career ahead of him. Speaking of bright careers, and remember, equally good health, Zion Williamson, he slimmed down, he looks good. Would you take him, or would you take Charles Barkley?
It's so interesting to think of Zion in terms of like what we fell in love with when he was going into the draft and why he's like the supernova.
The hype was real.
It was very real.
He was in high school and he went viral as a high schooler.
I do think because Charles Barkley's an anomaly, and we have probably lived with him being more of like this guy that will speak on anything. Like, he's this elder statesman of being off the court kind of like talker and, status symbol of the NBA and what it's become. It is just like, the guy was insane. It is crazy that he was as athletic when he wasn't, maybe the most disciplined with his body. But again, like, someone we think of because he didn't win a ring, that he didn't have the same level. Like, it's just you didn't get into this club because you didn't do the hardest thing that everybody else is working towards.
Yeah.
He was just really remarkable during like the Philly times and, his MVP season in Phoenix, that to have that longevity, and it's hard to beat that, when even with knowing that like if Zion can turn the corner with his health, like he might even rival it. I kind of view it in the sense of like, just take the option that that was already like that, if that makes sense.
All right, so you're going Chuck. That's a popular answer. So let's go to another comparison we did in season 2 for NBA Now and Then. We compared Tim Hardaway Sr., killer crossover, UTEP two-step, to Trae Young in Atlanta. Also has his own crossover, also point guard, can score, can pass. But who would you take, Jordan?
This is probably the hardest one, because I think Hardaway's kind of out of my time, but certainly familiar with his game. Certainly familiar with Run TMC. Trae Young, I'm very familiar with. Bucks obviously had some clashes with the Hawks in the playoffs. I'd probably lean more towards Hardaway Sr. that we kind of think of. I just think there's just something about, like, even if it's not for very long, these players that when they hit their peak, they hit their zenith, and you see it for a couple of years, you see the good of what it is. I think, I don't know, he's kind of this guard that kind of is breaking the mold of the time, and really, I mean, it's a good comparison because it sets the template for what Trae Young hopes to come, or is becoming, or hopes to become even better. But I just think there is something about, like, you kind of need the person that kind of set the template. I think that just kind of speaks to Tim Hardaway Sr.
Okay. All right. Look at you going old school, man. Going old school on me. Okay. I love both players, especially Trae. I got him up there. I'm pointing at him right now. Anybody his size that can do what he does, mad respect. Also, though, mad respect to these two players. Very cerebral. When we compare players, Jordan, we peel back layers, not just numbers and accolades, but we kind of look in their background and see how similar they are. Jaylen Brown and Andre Iguodala, very similar, very, very thought-provoking, very in tune, kind of political, being, having positions with the NBA Players Association. But if we're just looking at the game on the court, would you go with Jaylen Brown or would you go with Andre Iguodala?
Jaylen Brown, I think he's really good. There is something that gets lost to time because Andre Iguodala is like a superstar role player, and the fact that he found that in Golden State,
Yes.
like it was the perfect fit. But it like even before that, of just like he was this kind of primal force that can do a little bit of everything. And I think to me, like Jaylen Brown, I think could become that. Like this is obviously, from a modern, current day lens of just like knowing that the Celtics are without Jason Tatum and seeing what a team could look like with him at the, at the top of it. I would lean. I don't know. I when I saw this, I was like, I just remember Iguodala just being like, just remember how crucial he was at like for so many times of like as a superstar or the leading focal point, and the fact that he just kind of transitioned to that dependable role player, it just kind of speaks volumes to how good he was, that he could transform his game into a lesser role that I think not a lot of other players of his ilk could, do the same.
Yeah. No ego when it came to Andre Iguodala. Not that Jaylen Brown has an ego, because I love his game. I love his approach to life. Let's go to the next comparison. Two amazing shooters, not the most athletic, but very effective, and both winners. We compared Klay Thompson to Chris Mullin. Who you got?
It's so interesting because, oh man, I'm going to go Thompson. I think there aren't many players that require the ball less that you could feel their value to a team. Helps when you're with the Warriors.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
They got some pretty good shooters on that team,
Yeah.
Katie and Steph. Man.
But it is just like thinking back to his best performances of, certainly Game 6 against Thunder in 2016, the finals games, like even when they lose to Toronto in 2019 and he got hurt in the deciding game, like he could command so much attention without the ball in his hands that to have a shooter with that kind of gravity, it's one thing to kind of say like, oh, this player, like he's a good shooter, pair him next to LeBron or pair him next to Giannis, and you kind of built that in your own way you want to fashion it. It's just different when it's put in practice. Like anybody, you can, average role player can kind of build off of the gravity of someone that commands so much attention like those players. But it's different when it's someone like Klay Thompson that can do just really challenging shots. It's not easy to curl off a screen and rise up and fire and hit threes like at the volume that he did at his peak. It can still do pretty well now, but yeah, just as good as Chris Mullin was, like Klay Thompson was something else.
Yeah. Let's stick with shooters. Two Dukies, not very well liked when they played for Duke, but made names for themselves in the NBA. We compared Grayson Allen to J.J. Redick. What do you got?
I'm certainly familiar with Grayson Allen. Played for the Bucks for a couple years, so I got to see like his game. I think it's so interesting. You make the comparisons. It's right. It's like very competitive. Went over the line. Some numerous incidents. I think that the one thing that Grayson Allen, like, he does have that, like, he just has athleticism, and it's good. Good shooter can kind of. He's not on the Klay level of like off-ball gravity kind of shooter, but the fact that he could, the defense could kind of attack that closeout, and he could do something where he could drive to the basket and kind of throw down a dunk. Like he did things that when he was playing Milwaukee that I just didn't think he could ever do.
Yeah.
That J.J. Redick wasn't necessarily blessed to do in the same way. But, he played for the Magic during, what was it, 20, kind of his peak, I would say. Like late. Yeah. It's before like what the modern NBA and all the advantages that come with the spacing and shooting. I think he certainly would benefit from this era more than a lot of other players.
Yeah.
But I might lean towards Grayson.
Okay. That's who I would pick too.
Oh yeah.
A little more athletic, can get to the basket a little more effectively. Yeah, I think I would go with Grayson too. How about Alperen Şengün or Vlade Divac?
Şengün is, oh man, the guy, I really like him. There's something about like his slow-mo game that you're just like, it's there's like a Simpsons reference of like, I think it's like their Krusty the Clown is like put money on like the team beating the Harlem Globetrotters.
Okay.
And it's like, he's just spinning the ball in his finger. Like, just grab the ball. Like, it's something like that. Watching Alperen Şengün and how he could still be so skilled and so, like, he's a really good player. And the best is yet to come. That he can do it in his kind of, like, at his pace. And you kind of have to play at his level. Like, that would just infuriate me. Of, like, as an opponent. That I would lean towards him. I think Vlade is super interesting. He's not talked about in the same way as like Sabonis in terms of like he had to fashion his game around the NBA during the 90s when a lot of European players were stigmatized because of they didn't play the same way, or they're slow, they're unathletic. He had a very good career for a very long time to kind of buck around those stereotypes. Yeah. But I think Şengün is just, he's kind of like this anomaly of a player in so many different ways than how we view basketball.
Yeah, his game is quite unique, and his story is just as unique. And Vlade is, look, one of the top 50 players in European basketball history. It's in the record books. Let's go to another player from overseas. We're going to go with Pascal Siakam. We compared him to a New Yorker, local kid, local player, Lamar Odom. Who would you go with?
Odom is really good. I really liked Lamar Odom. I liked seeing the Lakers version of Lamar Odom and seeing that actualize like someone that can raise the level of players around him that, even superstars like a Kobe Bryant or a Pau Gasol, like that was just the best value of him. I think for someone like Pascal Siakam to be a star, and especially coming in the league, like we don't view him, his game is kind of veered in a different direction than I think a lot of people thought at the time. Like they certainly didn't think of him as highly as where the Raptors took him in that first round or whatever it was. The Bucks have seen him pretty close the last couple of years, and he is just like, it's not Giannis level, but he has a full dimension that, like, I'm not saying that I would want more out of Giannis, but like, he's more well-rounded. He has certain characteristics that I think, if the league wasn't as talented as it is right now, I think we would vault him into like super duper star. Like, this is one of the 20 best guys in the league right now that he gets credit for. But like, he is, I would lean towards more Siakam because of all the things that he does so well.
Yeah. He's one of those players, Jordan, where he's not the most athletic like Giannis, and he's not the most skilled like a Jokic, but he's so good at both that he is a great player. He impacts winning. 2 years in a row, he makes deep playoff runs with a new team, fitting into a new system in Indiana, and then he's a champion with Toronto. So I would probably lean Siakam too, but Lamar Odom, he was fun to watch, right?
Oh yeah.
All right, we have our last comparison, Jordan. This was our season finale. Kawhi Leonard, or would you take Scottie Pippen?
I'm going to go Leonard. I'm going to go Kawhi.
Okay.
There was a fear of God that I seen him play against the Bucks.
That's right.
In 2019.
Yeah, that's right.
Even when he was with the Spurs, it was just like the 2013 finals. And you see where it's going. You see, we didn't have nearly the health concerns around him that we did at that time. The fact that he's, his Achilles heel was thought of to be his shooting stroke. The fact that he was a passable shooter. The fact that he became a really good three-point shooter. The fact that he becomes one of the best scorers in the game. And again, someone that builds a system around him, but yet you could have, I don't know, like he is a wing player who's so good defensively, can lock down a LeBron James where he's like, gasping for air in the 2014 finals.
That's right. Yeah, I remember that.
And then he turns into what he was at his peak. Like he could still turn that on now, and you see glimpses of like that's how good he was. Like, again, like, having watched Giannis as like this player success story and how good he's become, like Kawhi is as good of a story in that way of like overcoming the odds and again, how we view players coming into the NBA and how they turn that around on us, and just like, this is what I am. This is like what years of work pays off into. There's just nothing like seeing him at his prime that like I just can't get over, even as someone that had a lot of heartbreak dealt to him by him.
Yeah. Listen, Kawhi Leonard broke a lot of hearts, especially in the Philadelphia area. Trust me, I know.
Yeah.
I know. 4 bounces and a travel, by the way. He took about 10 steps on that last play. I digress. All right, so we're coming now to the end of the interview. You just finished up with the NBA Draft Time Machine. We're here with Jordan Treske, who just wrote a book about the Milwaukee Bucks and the franchise. Speaking of that book, Jordan, do you have any events coming up, any speaking engagements? What's going on for you?
I actually have I'll be at the Southeastern Wisconsin Festival of Books.
Nice.
So very, very, it's in Waukesha, which is kind of Milwaukee adjacent suburb. But yeah, that'll be November 8th. I'll be talking on a panel about the book, which is kind of crazy.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
Sweet.
It's very crazy.
That's awesome, man.
But yeah, I have that. And then I have, there's a bookstore in Milwaukee. It's called Lion's Tooth. I'll be kind of doing like a in-person event there.
Good.
That's Saturday, November 22nd. But yeah, those are kind of the initial big events that are coming up, which, still crazy that this book has generated.
I'm excited for you, and I hope that all of our followers will buy your book after listening to this interview. Listen, Jordan Treske, his first book, he's doing book tours, he's doing book signings, he has a podcast, he writes, he covers all the sports in Milwaukee, including the Packers. Please go out and check out his work, support him. Jordan, give us a blast. Let us know where we can find all of your stuff.
You can find me at Jordan Treske at pretty much any social media site. Be happy to talk Bucks and talk about the book, obviously. But yeah, and you can follow my work at Bucks Coverages on the Eurostep podcast network feed. You can find that on all like Spotify, Apple, the YouTube too. Ty Windish and Rohan Kadi do a really good job, and I'll be chiming in throughout the season with them. And yeah, so that's where you can find me.
Jordan, thank you for being with us. We truly appreciate it. And as far as NBA Now and Then, we are in season 3 right now. If you're listening to this episode, you're coming fresh off a comparison of Karl Anthony Towns to Rasheed Wallace. Next weekend, we will be releasing our 1990s Mount Rushmore of small forwards. You don't want to miss that. And then after that, we have another comparison of 2 outstanding guards. We have Joe Dumars being compared to Derek White. On behalf of Jordan Treske, I'm Uriah Young. NBA Now and Then, the greatest comparisons. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.